So I start with the mono mix and do what I call a punch up on the narration. And you can see a visual representation of all the frequencies over time. Time is left to right, and the frequencies go from high to low, top to bottom. I use 3 modules for that. I use, of course, the dialogue isolate module. I also use music rebalance, and then also the spectral recovery module. Now, the music rebalance I apply first. It's designed to be used for music, but it also works for this purpose on the dialogue. If you don't push it too hard, it helps to separate. In this case, I'm trying to separate music from the narration. So first, music rebalance. And you can see right away there's a separation. Let me undo it. So you can see how much brighter the music is.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun. Malcolm, Steve, and Mert all...
And now the finish.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun. Malcolm, Steve, and Mert all...
So it's subtle, but it leaves the voice pretty much intact. Then I do dialogue isolate extreme. I just go all the way to infinity and crush it with the dialogue isolation module. It's very harsh, and the result doesn't sound that great. It sounds overdone because it is, but I'm using this basically to do a punch up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. But here's what that sounds like. It's kind of extreme.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun. Malcolm, Steve, and Mert all like to race.
A few artifacts here and there. And then I use the spectral recovery to replace some of the missing harmonics and the consonants from the original vintage recording. You can see right away that the upper range is extended considerably. Sometimes the S's are a little loud, but they get, as the process continues, they get duller and duller, and any ones that still remain loud at the very end of the process, you can easily fix.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun.
So that sounds like that. Then I'll go in and I'll clean it up manually, taking out the stuff that I don't absolutely need. This tail end piece here. Sometimes I'll even go in at this point and take out some notes that are still in there.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax.
It's not too bad.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun.
So you can hear. So the straight lines tend to be the music, obviously, and the wiggly lines tend to be the voice. So I can see a couple of straight lines, and I'll go through and grab some of the really bad ones at this point, and I'll either use the spectral repair just to knock them down a little bit so that they don't reinforce when I do this final step in the punch up. So now that I have that all clean, I will copy that. Copy. And then I'll go right back to the beginning of the full mix and do a mix paste, which basically mixes that signal. So what essentially it's going to do is boost that everything in that file, which is now only the dialogue, very, very severely isolated. It's going to just take that dialogue and boost it 6 dB by using paste mix. And you can see how the dialogue just pops up there, and I'll play you this piece.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun. Malcolm, Steve, and Mert all like to race.
Now the original mix is unchanged because I just I did a mix paste over the top of the original mix. And of course, Izotope is amazing for maintaining the phase integrity. Here's the original.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun.
So there you go. So I do this punch up process, and the reason why is because it helps the algorithms in the modules for dialogue isolate and music rebalance to find the difference between the voice easier. So you don't have to use as much of an extreme setting, and you get a very transparent, very natural result. So now I'm going to go back in and do music rebalance first again on that clip that's now been punched up. Okay, and back to the dialogue isolate, but instead of infinity, we're only going to do 10 dB. Now, I don't need the narration to be completely clean. I just need the music to be low enough so that it doesn't interact. It'll be masked by the final music track, which is, of course, mixed at the proper level. So anything below 10 or 12 dB will eliminate any kind of phasing or echo, and it'll be masked by the music that's in Pro Tools waiting for this narration to show up. You can see that
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun. Malcolm, Steve, and Mert all like to race.
that's a nice, very natural sounding separation. Of course, I'll go in and do more manual repairs, taking out any of the notes that are still remaining. And then finally, I do just a polish on the overall quality of the voice. First, I'll do the module kind of find the levels between the voice in the adaptive mode, just to see what it thinks it should be doing. I can see, so I'll stop it sort of right in the middle of one of the lines of dialogue. Then I'll turn the adaptive mode off and do a noise reduction. And then you can see that tightens it up a little bit.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun.
Nice and clean. And then for the final polish, I add back that little bit of vocal reverb. It's a vocal booth sounding reverb. It was present in the original mix, and it kind of gets squashed out when you do these noise reduction and isolation processes. So I just put a little bit of that back in. Again, the idea is we're working very hard to make it sound like we didn't do anything at all. And then finally, so here's the original sound track.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun. Malcolm, Steve, and Mert all like to race, but they think this kind of riding is the...
And then the finished product.
The pressure of racing over, it's time to relax and have some fun. Malcolm, Steve, and Mert all like to race, but they think this kind of riding is the most fun. It's called cow trailing.
So then we take that isolated narration track and we bring that back into Pro Tools and line it up with the music.